Ethnography is the way in which anthropologists explore people's social worlds. So we're really interested in how everyday life makes sense to people. In other words, you could think about what people's common sense is. And it's often things that people don't think to ask in an interview, but also common sense isn't something that you would necessarily think to tell an interviewer either. So we're trying to explore those kinds of things. The means we do that is something that we call participant observation, where you live alongside people, you join them in their daily lives, and you try to understand the skills that they have in order to live their lives. And those skills tend to be two specific things. One, which we focus on a lot, is the language. So you have to learn people's language. You might be working in English, but you still would have to learn the dialect, the kinds of things, ways that people express themselves. We look at the practices, the things that people need to know, the skills they need to live their daily lives. Ethnography isn't a technique that can be applied. It's actually a particular mode of analytical attention, the way in which you attend to the relationships in the world around you. And there are really two different scales on which we do this as ethnographers. One is that we attend to things that every human being does. But at the same time, people do those things in quite different ways. So we also attend to the very specific skills and practices that particular groups are involved in and develop. So if I could give some examples. For example, we look at people's ritual lives, their rituals, their symbols, the things that they believe in and that they care passionately about in their imaginative worlds. We also look at their productive lives, the kind of exchanges they carry out, the ways in which they make a living. We're interested in their life cycles, by which we mean what happens at birth, when people grow into adolescence, their marriages, what it means to be an adult, how they die and how they deal with death. We look at health and well-being, which has to do with bodies, with the ways in which people eat and drink, with all kinds of bodily practice, with illness, with sex, with reproduction. We look very differently perhaps at environmental issues, how people understand the actual world that's around them and how they relate to that. And maybe, very importantly, we also look at social differentiation, what it means to be powerful, what it means to be powerless, and how people negotiate those relations in their everyday lives. In ethnography, all these topics are really thought about as relational worlds. People are relating to each other, but as a researcher, you're also using your own body and your own experiences to understand other people's lives. So you, in a sense, you learn through having to unlearn things that you knew about the world before. And in many ways, it's quite an uncomfortable experience. So the discomfort of living in someone else's space where you don't necessarily understand what makes sense to them is a very important part of how we learn about our own worlds as well as learning about other people's worlds. So we bring back that kind of sense of disjuncture in order to think that our own worlds are in fact not the only way to be human. And that's one of the ways in which we learn about human difference. Ethnography is also about writing. It's about producing an account of these things. And we have different ways of producing those ethnographic accounts. There are classical genres which have been well critiqued within the discipline of anthropology, but there are also more experimental ways of writing. Some people have started to use fiction. Other people don't use words at all necessarily. They might make ethnographic films, or they might make sound recordings, or they might put things together in a kind of exhibitionary form. All ethnographic texts, in the broadest sense, really combine analytical, theoretical and empirical thinking. And what we're really concerned with is to draw those things together. So to recap, ethnography is a very specific analytical mode of attention in which we really try to get beyond our own habitual practices and everyday understandings and beyond the starting point of our own philosophical traditions, to try to understand where other human beings might be coming from as they make their way and live in the world.